Queer representation? I'm intrigued. Gentle parenting meets pirating? Yeah, I'm in. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan. I'm an aspiring TV writer and I am posting my journey into the industry here on YouTube. Today I am back with another pilot review, of course, and this week we're going to be looking at Our Flag Means Death. Has anybody else seen this show? I really enjoyed it. I even wrote a spec for this show, so I am definitely a fan and I am so excited for season 2, so I thought I would go ahead and look at the pilot today and share with you what I think of it coming from a screenwriter's perspective and what I think works well or maybe doesn't work as well. So let's do it. I think it's really smart of them to have this text on the screen. It really grounds the story. We're in a different period. It gives us the setting, and you've got that red that's like wah wah, while at the same time you've got this plucky music going on that really sets the tone, but it's that dichotomy between like things don't go as planned, but like hey, we're playing some happy music.
I should have 20 kills by now, at least.
You know, maybe Captain's trying a new kind of slow pirate.
This conversation also gives a lot of background and kind of gives us an idea of where the characters are at.
Will be perilous.
And the fact that they're all like, what is this guy doing, just adds some comedy to his like dramatic speech that he comes out to do.
Mentally devastated by what they've witnessed. Remember the rhyme? If someone returns from the raid mentally devastated, we talk it through as a...
That's what I'm saying. Steed is gentle parenting these pirates.
Right! This is it! Places, everyone!
I mean, really, like, Steed sees this as theater. Like, this is a show for him. He just doesn't get it.
Ahoy! Surrender! You've no chance of escape!
The cannonball going in, like, they do such a great job with little things that just add up to this really comedic, so funny. It's really good. Like him nearly falling off of it.
Is it meant to be this shaky? Can you two down there just...
I mean, like, Steed is just pathetic. And, like, so is this raid. Like, he's reading these two little fishermen, like...
My name's Steed. I'll be your rubber here today. Oh, fish.
Him getting right back up. The voiceover turning into this journaling and keeping a log of everything.
What if it works?
It really shows a stylistic form, but also has a great way of bringing exposition in a natural way.
So,
Again, the salary, these amenities he's talking about. Gentle parenting meets pirating.
a full library. The crew is free to borrow books whenever. So far, you're the only one to take me up on it.
Well, I'm the only crew member who can read.
That's not. Is that true?
I mean, like, that moment, it just shows how much Steed truly does not understand what he's doing here. He has a total misunderstanding of this.
Spoils of battle.
Any pirate with a dam has a flag. It's true.
And this suggestion, criticism moment turns naturally into the next step in the pilot, which is making these flags. And we'll see, that's going to come up again later.
And that will be the official flag for the Revenge.
Turning it into a competition, so great.
Oh, Black Pete, come on now. What is it?
It's like a flag extender, so it...
And yet somehow, Steed almost acts like a preschool teacher.
Beautiful material.
And they almost like go along with it. I don't even think they realize they're doing it. It just works so well.
Mutiny is a brewing.
Mutiny? Really?
By no many a ship in the nose never lies.
I love how
Stop writing.
Buttons immediately tells him. And this leads into a new portion of the plot. Steed is in on this. He's got to figure this out. These are still pirates. Like, he's in a dangerous situation.
And when we weren't killing or drinking, we were...
Black Pete also claiming that he was part of Blackbeard's crew sets things up so perfectly for how things are going to develop later in the season.
Oh, thanks. I know you're mates.
Oh, no, none taken. It's
This quick little moment solidifies the fact that Alawande and Jim are friends. They have a relationship. There's background to them prior to this crew.
If we kill him, we'll never know what happens to that wooden doll who wants to become a real boy. None of us can read.
Lucius reads. But can he do the voices? Captain does the voices.
The fact that they're all into these bedtime stories and that, you know, Lucius can't do the voices like Captain does, like, that all just supports the idea of, like, gentle parenting meets pirating, and also, like, you know, the idea of Steed as being like a preschool teacher, like all that stuff. Even though they're these tough guys and they want to mutiny, they also still like a lot of this stuff.
I gather some of you
Can't we light it on fire?
I'd be disappointed if we didn't.
Yes.
And this bigger ship all comes from the idea of them not being happy with him, this mutiny. It leads even further with the plot. This is, see how the plot is developing on itself?
Thanks.
No matter what Steed thinks, he's still playing at pirate. This is still so much of a game to him. And this flashback too shows he's always been a little more sensitive. He's always not really been into violence. Like, this is long into his history, and it sets up, you know, where he's gone. Again, so much of this is being set up. And this moment of that's all I'll ever be, it really shows what's motivating Steed, where his mindset is at, and why he cares so much about proving himself, why he cares so much about this mutiny. Of course, you know, his life's a danger, but he also wants to be better than he thinks he's capable of. And it also explains the gentle parenting.
No, come in. The basics should do it.
This also shows how nervous he really is.
Oh, there's your ball's gone. And
Right, that's... It's so permanent, isn't it? A lot of those, which I like them. But is there something perhaps less so? Like a stun move?
And he's just so out of his depth.
Just if you kind of hit someone at the back there, you knock them out.
That is a relief. And does it have to be a sword, or can you use...
No, anything heavy should do it. Listen, Captain, you know...
And this has opened up the chance for Olawande to be like,
Have a seat.
bro,
Please.
what are you doing?
Having to kill.
And it's hitting Steed.
Oh no!
But then, of course, just as Steed really has this realization is when the real action immediately gets started.
Why is that ship so
Because
big?
there's no better time for it to happen.
There to tell. Just a bunch of upper crust lads trying our
And
hand
all
at
of
sea
them
life.
pretending to be these like upper echelon, whatever kind of people. It's just so funny. Then of course you got Black Pete with the gun hunter. And again, you have this gentle Steed picking flowers and just happy. And again, this flashback too just further solidifies this belief he has about himself. And, you know, the more we understand this, the more it explains his actions and how he behaves.
An initiation of sorts.
Yeah, it's funny, I don't recall it.
But he never says, this is why I am who I am. They give us enough space to understand that for ourselves.
Remember, what if there's a storm and all the books fall out?
And the fact that he hits on something that's actually happened, I mean, that's gotta get Steve right
What's
here.
that rumour?
What's your favourite of all the horses?
Elephants. Very pretty and very fast.
Yes, he's wonderful.
I like Arthur. He has kind eyes.
And which is your
And
favourite pig?
this flashback shows how much he just didn't fit in with that family and comfortable life.
Pirate.
And it really does give us as an audience further justification for why he abandoned them. And Nigel laughing at him hits on all of these points that we've seen he has these sensitivities about, that we see impact him the most. And then we come right back with, you know, a callback to what Olawande and Jim taught him.
Just a flag.
And we're back to the flags again. So again, things are kind of working together, and it's not just like something happens and then it disappears.
Enough interruptions, slave! Your captain may suffer uppity behavior, but not me!
And I think it's so great that the racism was the thing that pushed it over the edge where they couldn't put up with it anymore. And it really helps the audience connect with this crew and kind of get behind them. And this idea of being pathetic, it's leading him right to the violence he always wanted to avoid. He was avoiding so much throughout.
I used the stun move.
Yeah, he looks pretty stunned. Do you want to live?
That's a tough question.
To live?
I love how that's like such a reversal of expectation. It's a common question to ask in, you know, a situation like this, whatever. And I love how it was played out.
Then this was no accident.
And this sets up, again, things being set up really well. So now he's gonna look like this tough captain that he needs to be to avoid being mutinied and killed and all that. And then this calls right back to the prank that was played on Steed as a kid. I mean, talk about, you know, getting closure.
Do you know how hard it is to drive a sword through someone's skull?
And now there's a change in perspective about Steed and how the crew kind of feels about him.
You got to admit, he pulled it off.
Pulled what off? Making us dress up like a bunch of fancy boys?
But of course, Black Pete is Black Pete.
Hostages, huh?
We're not exactly the best crew, though, are we?
And now we've got to figure out, where do things go from here? You know, what does Steed do? How can the crew kind of vibe with him? It leaves us in an interesting place to continue on. And we're back to Pinocchio.
Puppet pulled it off. How many times I've been up to see her goodness knows.
And now this is, well, what's going on here? And now we've got the reveal that Jim is not quite who we thought. Which definitely pulls us in for a future episode to see how that whole storyline plays out. Like, they give us just enough to be like, what? And you've got everyone's flags waving up there. Okay, I think that, you know, this is such a great show, and I've watched it like twice now, I think, since the first time I watched it. And I think my only complaint is just that I wish we got into Blackbeard a little sooner. I think that the show